Welcome back, everyone. We have a great show for you today. Have you ever wondered where your soul really comes from, or why you feel connected to the stars themselves? Today, we are exploring galactic origins, interdimensional memory, and the awakening of your cosmic heritage. So, if you have ever felt like Earth was never your first home, this episode is for you guys. So, hello everyone. I am Dr. Joan Hangarter, also known as Joan of Angels. And for those tuning in for the first time, I actually met Neil back in 2011, and I did readings at his very first live in-person event, and that's how long we've been friends. So, so we became collaborators, friends, and world travelers and co-creators of the shared vision of his mystery school. And now, all these years later, I am serving as the executive producer of the New Living Expo, which Portal to Ascension has recently taken over, revamping, upgrading, and bringing in some of the most amazing speakers, like the one you're almost about to hear, or you're about to hear in a minute. And all I could say is that life has a great way of unfolding and guiding you all exactly where you need to be. So now, for those of you who are new to me, I help people, especially women, who feel stuck, uncertain, off track, and I help them reconnect to their soul purpose, their soul vision. And so together we awaken what you're here to do. We dissolve the patterns that hold you back, and we align you with the life that you were truly meant to live. So if you're ready for clarity around your purpose, your passion, your mission, then I invite you to hop on Joan of Angels and book an appointment so we can take care of you. So now, before we bring on our guest, we're going to talk a little bit about the cruise. And our guest, Debbie Solaris, is going to be on the cruise. We're really excited. Let's show a little video to get you guys really excited about this extraordinary gathering into the ancient history, the gods and goddesses of Greece.
Portal to Ascension proudly presents the second annual conference at sea. Step aboard the Celebrity Infinity for Mystery School at Sea, an extraordinary 10-day voyage through the mystical lands of ancient Greece and Turkey, sailing from March 20th to 30th, 2026. Journey through the sacred sites of the ancients, Nafplio, Heraklion, Rhodes, Kavala, Thessaloniki, Ephesus, Athens, and more, where cosmic wisdom, lost civilizations, and divine knowledge converge. Featuring world-renowned authors, researchers, and channelers, guiding you into the deep memory of these sacred lands, unlocking past lives, sacred geometry, and the hidden consciousness of the ages. Immerse yourself in transformative lectures, hands-on workshops, and exclusive special events, each custom-tailored to help you remember that you are an initiate of the Mystery School. This isn't just a cruise, it's a portal to higher awareness, an awakening to the wisdom encoded in your soul. Are you ready to remember?
Wow, you are an initiate of the mystery schools, guys. So I hope you join us on that cruise. I'll be speaking as well, and it's going to be really exciting. So now I think we're going to bring it up to the New Living Expo. I want to tell you a little bit about it. We have Debbie Solaris going to be talking about it. We have a whole wide range of new speakers coming. Some of them you may know, some of them you may not. And I think we'll show you the video so you can actually see for yourself why it's important to come to the New Living Expo.
The world is changing faster than ever before, and within this evolution, a new consciousness is rising. At the New Living Expo, thousands gather to expand consciousness, explore new conscious technologies, ancient wisdom, and the future of human potential. Immerse yourself in 3 days of heart-expanding wisdom and mind-binding awareness, with over 90 speakers sharing tools to awaken your highest potential. 125 exhibitors, 3,000 attendees, awakened souls unite in one powerful weekend of learning, healing, and connection. Experience transformation, connection, and the next chapter of human evolution. It is time for humanity to awaken. Join us at newlivingexpo.com.
I get chills when I see this video. So I hope you guys come and work with us. It's really a time to step into your purpose, your power, your mission by interacting and getting an energetic upgrade at that weekend. So hope to see you there. Now, I want to tell you about Debbie Solaris. So many of you know her, but just a brief introduction. She's an ET contactee, an interdimensional traveler, Akashic Records reader, and galactic historian. And so after her own deep spiritual galactic contact experience, she understood what her mission is, which is to help others unlock their galactic memories. So through her deep connection to the galactic Akashic Records, Debbie brings forth ancient cosmic history, starseed lineages, and universal spiritual knowledge. Her work has been featured on Gaia TV's Beyond Belief with George Norrie and Open Minds with Regina Meredith. She teaches very powerful classes, starseed workshops, multidimensional rich presentations, and is a frequent guest on Portal to Ascension. So Debbie, welcome to the show. We are really honored to have you, your galactic wisdom, your starseed knowledge, and your presence here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I know. I'm so excited to have you here. And it feels so good. It feels so juicy. I'm really glad you're going to be joining us on both of those events, especially, I think, the cruise, that energy of the ancient history right around us as we're there, and then the New Living Expo. So we'll talk later about what you're presenting about that. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
New Living Expo, that's exciting. I mean, Portal to Ascension just keeps expanding. And I think it's great because it's such an awesome platform, and it'll just give more opportunities to be, participants of, the many offerings,
Right. It's a great way to bring the wisdom out. And yes, it's the largest event that Portal to Ascension has ever done. So it is taking us to a new level. And it's just, I mean, Deb, it's so exciting. I can't even tell you. So.
Oh, I know. I'm just honored to be a part of it. I mean, it's just like, the Mystery School at Sea was amazing enough, but New Living Expo, that's just next level. So, I'm just glad to be a part of it all.
Me too. So when Neil called to tell me, Joan, what do you think? Should we take this on? I just was so excited. It's just like this. I think we're in the age of expansion, and also being a guidance, providing guidance and wisdom for people on the path like us, like you.
Oh yeah, exactly. I was thinking back to even, like 15 years ago when a lot of us were starting to awaken, and how awesome would it have been back then to have all these offerings, that we have now. And I think the folks that are either, been awakened for quite a while, or are awakened, or are just awakening, there's so much more to choose from nowadays. And, I always tell, my clients, take advantage, go to these events, just take time out of your work schedule or your family time and do these events, because this is, doing the online thing is great. I think it connects us as well, but being able to do things in person with other starseeds and other light workers, that's just magical and transformative. I mean, there's nothing like, the in real life experience.
No, I agree. So the trip to Egypt, that Portal to Ascension that I helped Neil with, and the Greek, we went on the Nile cruise. It was like just so exciting to be together. It's that sense of soul family, and that we're not alone, and that there's others like us, and other people understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, isn't that nice? You don't have to explain yourself at Christmas time when you're with your family.
Other people understand, and they want more. So we love you out there, all of you listening. We just are so happy that we have, you and that you have us. So, all right, well, let's get started, Deb. I have some great questions for
Oh,
you.
yeah. Yeah,
All right.
yeah, bring them on, bring them on.
So I know that you had a galactic contact, the awakening, which was
Mhm,
very powerful and
mhm.
which literally changed your life. And I think we're going to start from there. So
Yeah, sure.
you talk about the galactic timeline.
Mhm.
Can you explain how our present Earth timeline, okay, connects to the Lyran, the Orion, the Pleiadian histories that you're researching?
Well, Earth was always considered to be a special planet, so even though it's in the far side of our galaxy and it's in this, somewhat small, insignificant solar system, but Earth was always special because it had the capacity to sustain DNA from many different star systems. And so there's so for millennia, there's been many different star groups that have visited Earth and brought DNA from their own systems to Earth. And so we're just a compilation. And I know Barbara Marciniak calls Earth the living library, which is a beautiful description of what Earth is. It's just a composite of different DNA from many different star systems. So Earth has always had this important part in galactic history. So even though it's just a small little planet, in maybe seemingly insignificant planet, but it really isn't. A lot of our DNA as humans, we're a Heinz 57 of many different star groups. These star people that were visiting and colonizing Earth, for millennia. And so within all of us, within our DNA, we carry, signatures, just DNA signatures from all of these different star groups. And this includes the Lyrans, the Pleiadians, the Sirians, the Andromedans, the Arcturians, and even many more beyond that. So understanding this is my belief. I believe that understanding our galactic history just gives us that much more insight into who we are as a human race, even here on Earth. And it's kind of saddens me that this has been hidden from human history here on Earth for millennia, that nobody ever talked about the influences of these star beings, with the exception of maybe some writings from the Vedic texts or from the Sumerians, or maybe Native American lore. They were one of the few that kept talking about this connection from beings from the sky. And so I do believe that within us it contains a multitude of history from all of these different races. And so that's part of my work, is to bring this to the forefront. My goal is I want to see galactic history offered in college, universities,
Wow.
and high school, and even elementary school. That's my goal. So I think that would be that would be just an amazing thing to see in the near future.
Interesting, Deb. So I have a question for you, which is
Yeah,
like,
sure.
why you?
Why
Why
me? Yeah.
why you? And
I still ask that every day. I
no,
I'm just this goofy person, I actually had a very ordinary upbringing. I was raised in a military family, so my family traveled a lot when I was, a kid, and we were raised Roman Catholic. So obviously I grew up with very traditional beliefs, and didn't really have much contact with extraterrestrials or metaphysics or spirituality until my awakening in 2012, which you referred to earlier. So why me? I still kind of question that every every day. I'm like, guides, why am I doing this? But honestly, it's because of my galactic connection to the Arcturians. That was my understanding from what my Arcturian guides have told me, that as a soul, I've chosen to be here to do this mission, and so I'm fulfilling my mission. It took me quite a long time, so I didn't awaken until I was almost 50. But I'm trying to make up for lost time, and uh, it's been a great journey. But honestly, Joan, I don't know why it's me, but I'm taking it on, and I'm doing the best I can.
First of all, we all take on our roles and we do the best we can because
Mhm.
that's our human side.
Yeah, exactly.
But but they chose you because you were the only one that could do it exactly your way,
Mhm.
in an exact, Deb Solaris way. So
Mhm.
I think, but you know what I find amazing, and I think we should talk about this, that they've hidden history. It is crazy to me when you think about how much time and energy has been invested in hiding the truth of our origins,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
how crazy they make people because you see something, you think something, you feel it, and then they tell you you're crazy.
Yeah.
So we are on a crazy planet, and people like you and I are here to help bring the truth back in.
Mhm.
So I'm very proud of you, Deb. You said
And thank
yes.
you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm proud of you too, Joan, and I'm happy to share this journey with you and Neil and all the other amazing people that'll be at the New Living Expo and or the Mystery School at Sea. So
Right, right. And cruises are wonderfully intimate,
yeah, they are.
and
Yeah.
we have an intimate group. When we
Mhm.
were on the Nile, it was just delicious, sitting outside under the stars at night, and all the events that we did on the ship were great too. So anyway, so next question for you. So how does time actually work? I'd really like to understand this. So as from your perspective as a galactic historian,
Mhm.
how does time actually work outside of Earth? Is it linear, circular, stack, or something different?
Yeah, it's definitely not linear. So um, the 3D dimension is the only dimension where time is very linear, and we follow this kind of linear pattern. But when we get into the higher dimensions, into fifth and beyond, time becomes, I would say, more expansive. Where it's everything's happened simultaneous to each other. So a lot of times when I am doing akashic readings for my clients, just for their understanding, I do the readings in sort of a linear fashion where I'm talking about past, present, and future. But in all actuality, they could be having their Lyran lifetime simultaneous to this Earth lifetime. And then there's multidimensional aspects of ourselves, even beyond. Like say having a past life or a future timeline. So it's called, parallel lifetimes. And so I do think, honestly, when we get into those, the fifth dimension and beyond, time does act more on a parallel basis rather than linear. So uh, it gets very confusing for the Earth human mind to kind of try to comprehend that, and so that's why I try to do my readings more in this linear fashion, even though it's in actuality not how reality occurs in the higher dimension, but it just gives some sort of context to my client, and also maybe to people that might be trying to tap into alternate dimensional aspects of themselves.
Well, it is complicated. So it's complicated for my mind to actually visualize it. So
Yeah,
I'm kind of seeing them stacked up on top of each other, but I don't think that's the way it is either.
yeah.
And, and I'm thinking that it's all these different soul aspects of ourselves living out these different
Oh,
experiences.
absolutely. And I believe that when we dream at night, so when we dream, we're actually in the fourth dimension. So we're in one dimension higher than third. So we tend to astral travel quite a bit, when we're in dream time. And I do believe that we are actually visiting alternate dimensional aspects of ourselves. So I know, at least in the beginning of my awakening, I remember having dreams where I was in this reality that I didn't really recognize from my Earth timeline, but I knew that it was part of my reality. And it might have been me in a different body form, even different sex or different historical period. And it was my soul, I guess, attempt to do some soul retrieval on a dream time basis, where you're visiting that aspect of yourself to retrieve that soul aspect of yourself back into the integral part of your soul. And so I actually have worked with a lot of clients who've had similar experiences where they will have dreams where they're not really themselves, but they are themselves. And it might even sound like a walk-in experience, but it really isn't. It's just that they're visiting an alternate dimensional aspect of themselves. I hope that wasn't too complex, but that's I do see that a lot in the Akashic records.
I find it really interesting because, I do these soul portraits,
Yeah.
and somehow these different aspects come and visit me
Mm-hmm.
of the person I'm working with.
Yeah.
And then I capture them as best as I can digitally because it's very complicated.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then, I could create like 50 different aspects and lifetimes of you,
Yeah.
which I don't show you all 50 because it's too confusing.
Oh, yeah.
But
That would be a lot, I think, for anybody.
But this idea that we're sitting here having this interview, but we have these other aspects that might be even impacting our interview
yeah.
or bringing it on. And somehow we as humans are supposed to understand that they're all happening at the same time in this ether that it is quite a concept. Okay. So I love that you can access this and that you can actually witness, I'm guessing, people's past events, their and future events. Like you see it acting out for them.
Yeah, I'm kind of a memory hijacker. That's what I call myself sometimes. Like I'm hijacking other people's memories in the Akashic records. But and that sounds like a bad thing, but it really isn't, because because I have that access, that maybe somebody else haven't developed within themselves yet. So I'm able to see, something that happened to them in an alternate timeline or an alternate dimension, and I'm able to share that with them. And usually when something like that comes forward, even in an Akashic reading or in the context of maybe talking about galactic history, it's because we're meant to know about it. There's something about that timeline that we need to integrate within our own timeline, into this present moment. And a lot of times that could be very meaningful for, either my clients or, people that might be taking some of my courses or maybe looking at a video reel on Instagram or something. So there's always, I think, that concept of, hey, there's something, even though it's a past life or it's an alternate dimensional life, what does that have to do with my time here on Earth? There is a correlation. So, and I actually love, Joan, that you're able to illustrate it. You're such a gifted artist, and I love that you can illustrate it, because sometimes, I'm trying to describe something in words to somebody, but having the illustration, I think, just makes it even more real for people. So I love that you do that work.
We should collaborate a little bit. Maybe I can help some of your clients.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah,
I'm going to reach out to you. That could be fun for some of your clients to sort of see.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And for you too. Now that we're on the subject.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, no, if you guys haven't checked out Joan's work, you should check out her work. It's amazing. I've got to see it at various conferences, and yeah, you're just so gifted. So, but yeah, I'd love to collaborate at some point.
All right. I'm going to reach out on you. I'll follow up. This is great. All right. So this is getting very, very interesting to me. So let's go talk about interdimensional travel, wormholes, star portals. Okay. Can you tell us about how advanced galactic civilizations might have used these wormholes or portals, or what they were meant for?
Well, portals are kind of like shortcuts through space and time. That's kind of how I see it. So,
right.
And there's two major stargates in this particular galaxy, and I always talk about them, but for the sake of this podcast, I do want to mention them. The first one's Antares. So Antares is the first portal that was created, and it was created to be this timeline that connected the Milky Way, which was actually an offshoot galaxy from the Andromeda galaxy. So it connected the Andromeda galaxy with the Milky Way. But beyond that, so that may sound like, okay, that's nice. It was a shortcut, but it was more than just a shortcut. It was an opportunity for very high dimensional beings to be able to enter into a very physical galaxy, which is what the Milky Way was created to be. And there was many instances where there was star races, even from other galaxies and universes, that have used these portals to enter into other aspects of space and time. So just to give you an example of one that I personally know of, because I've seen it in the records, there was a group of beings called the Doll, and they actually existed in a counterpart universe to ours. So they weren't even from this universe. They were from our counterpart universe. And these beings are kind of Nordic looking, I guess, if I had to describe them. They're humanoid, but they look kind of Nordic. And they were space explorers. And so somehow they ended up going through one of these portals into our universe. And they ended up near Galactic Center. And this group of reptilians saw them. So the reptilians were, traveling in their armada of starships and saw the Doll and tried to attack them. And the Doll had such advanced technology that they pretty much annihilated the entire reptilian armada, which was really amazing. Because I think the reptilians saw their ships, because their ships were very deceptively simple. They had technology that was so advanced. They didn't need all the bells and whistles. It was, maybe it looked like a big blob or something. I don't know. But their ships were so advanced that it was beyond anything that we've seen in our universe. So the galactic councils reached out to them. And so that's just one story out of many that I've been able to access from the records. But the Doll people ended up, I don't know if they ever found their way back home. I think some of them ended up settling in Aldebaran, which is in the Taurus constellation. So they were, the predecessors of the Aldebaran race, but which also has a connection with the Pleiadians, so the Pleiadians knew about the Doll. But yeah, this is, things that you can find out in the Akashic records. But to get back to your question about time and portals, yes, they were used quite a bit. You have to keep in mind that even Andromeda constellation is 2,000 light years away. I mean, if we were physically traveling, it would take us, hundreds, if not thousands of years to make that trip. So, using these portals and, and bypassing the time-space continuum did help these star races to travel a lot faster to different locations. So
do we as starseeds have that internal ability, the biological ability to travel on these portals ourselves? Is that like reactivating now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So there's this really interesting little star map that I came across quite a few years ago. It's called the Mayan Interdimensional Star Map. And honestly, I think it's a star map that was created to help us reactivate certain chakras that represented certain portals that will enable us to create our own Merkabas or Merkabas. And so once we create this energetic Merkaba, we will have that capacity. Also, we become our own starship at that point, and we'll have the capacity to make these travels interdimensionally. And it's fun when you're able to actually set the intention of doing that and traveling maybe to some other star system or some other dimension, and maybe even having an experience that might transcend anything we could even imagine here on Earth.
And you take people on that journey?
I do sometimes. Yeah, I try to. Yes. Yeah, we do. We do take, I feel like even doing an Akashic reading or an Akashic clearing for an individual actually helps activate their ability to do these, to integrate, these types of experiences for themselves. Because a lot of times I'll get reports back from my clients. They'll say things like, "Oh yeah, I'm starting to get downloads of these memories. I'm starting to get visitations from different beings, and I'm astro traveling quite a bit more." So, and even if you can't have a reading with me, because my schedule is pretty crazy, but you can still activate this within yourself. It's just a matter of integrating those different portals within yourself, which is basically just activating your chakras and aligning them with these galactic portals.
So you're saying we all have access?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's an ability we can learn.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Or memory. Actually, learning is not the right word.
Yeah, it's
Remembering.
just relearning, maybe. That's maybe
Right.
a better word. Yeah.
Right. Relearning, remembering. Yes.
Remembering. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you have an Arcturian background.
Mhm.
Like, what are you? A combination of, you think?
I think I've been into a lot of different places. So I would say my origins is definitely Arcturian. I mean, I've always felt this deep, deep connection with Arcturus. And the beings that visited me when I had my awakening were Arcturians, and they told me I was part of their soul family. So I do believe that was my origination point. But I've had incarnations and experiences in a multitude of different star systems. I can probably relate to almost all the ones I talk about. I mean, I've had lifetimes in the Pleiades, I've had lifetimes in Sirius, I've had lifetimes in Andromeda. I mean, I think I feel Orion. I feel like I know all of them, and I think that was very purposeful. Because I do see myself as being an ambassador of some sort, and that my role as my overall soul role is to visit these star systems and help them on their ascension journey.
Got it. So you're helping those star systems on their ascension journey as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I feel that way. Or at least I have in the past. I don't know, or there is no past really. There's really just non-linear times. So maybe I'm still doing it. So I don't know. Yeah.
I wonder if true ascension is when all these aspects of ourselves and the lives and the beings that we've been come into one consciousness, where we're aware of it simultaneously.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's possible, but maybe.
No, I kind of wonder that myself. I've had that.
Really? Yeah. It's like, so we have all these aspects, and I have a side out in Arcturian. We're probably having tea or coffee or whatever it is up in, somewhere else, but I don't remember it now. And I'm kind of getting to the point that I just want to have soul memory. Complete.
Yeah. Well, speaking of soul memory, I think what happens here on Earth, so third dimension is the lowest dimension you can be without being a flat piece of paper. So it's the lowest dimension where you have like an actual 3D form. And so I think a lot of us, we even had the understanding that, if we chose to have incarnations on Earth, we were going to go through this veil of forgetfulness because, the energies here are really dense, and we were going to lose all of our soul memories. Now, when we're in the higher dimensions, we don't lose our soul memories. Even though we may be having a certain incarnation, we remember all of our past lives, which is a concept I think Earth humans haven't embraced yet. This concept of knowing exactly what happened in previous or alternate timelines and lifetimes. And I do think that's an ability that will eventually develop, especially as we integrate into the fifth dimension. But yeah, we lose a lot of our memories, and it takes us like half a lifetime, sometimes like a whole lifetime, just to try to retrieve, some of those old soul memories. And so that's why I think doing Akashic work is so important, not just for my clients, but even maybe people that may come across this type of thing. They might think, hey, I want to try to integrate some of those memories. How can I do that? And that's why I do teach an annual Akashic reading course. So we've been doing it for 3 years straight now, and it just keeps getting better and better. Like, I mean, even the level of students I'm getting, they're just amazing. I mean, I just have a really amazing students. And this coming year, we're going to start offering the advanced Akashic course where people can learn to heal and clear within the records. And then in the future, we're going to create kind of an Akashic teachers course. But the reason why I offer these courses is not just so people can make a living doing Akashic readings, although if they want to do that, that's great. But it's to help develop these soul memories, to help us access them, to help us access them, maybe not just for other people, but also for ourselves. So I do think it's an important part of our journey.
Well, it is absolutely, because when we think about it, there's a blank spot of,
Mm-hmm.
it's like there's a wall of things that we should know about ourselves, our history, and who we
Oh,
are that would
absolutely.
empower us to know, and we're separated from that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have another question. I know you're in contact with a lot of different galactic beings. Which ones don't work together well? Like, does that actually, instead of asking you which ones work together well, I'm curious
Mm-hmm.
to know which ones don't. Like, which ones are the
That's a
problems, or
that's
the
a really interesting question. I
I'm
would say,
trying to give you some new ones.
yeah, no, I love it. I love it when people get creative with the questions. So thank you. No, I actually think, um, if I had to say, I would say dark beings. So beings such as reptilians and gray aliens. And don't work well with benevolent beings. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. But just to give you an example of, so there's a race called the Talseti, and the Talseti, they're a benevolent race. They're in a star system called Talseti that is in the Cetus constellation, which is the whale constellation, and they're actually located fairly close to Earth. And this race of beings, they consisted of humans. So they had some humanoids, but they also had a bear race. So I think this is where the concept of the Wookiees came from Star Wars, was from this Tau Ceti bear race. But this race of beings have been at odds with the gray aliens for millennia, because the gray aliens used to steal their children. And so the Tausetians became very fierce warriors, and they were expert pilots, and they were able to, retrieve their children back from, these being abducted by these gray aliens. And so I think a lot of times there's certain star races that might have their own agendas, and they might do some pretty shady things, because they have their own agenda. And I don't know, maybe the Tau Cetian genetics were really, very hardy. And that's why the gray aliens were targeting their children, was to integrate maybe some of their DNA into their own species. But that would be an example of a scenario where you have two races that are pretty much mortal enemies. And obviously the Lyrans and the Reptilians, I mean, that's been a long time, feud, I think, for millennia. And then there's certain factions within the Orion system that, they had races that didn't get along. So basically in Orion, it was set up a lot like Star Wars, where there was the outermost star systems were more the Empire. So that was like the reptilians and the alien, the tall grays and the gray aliens and the insectoids. And with some humans, there was a lot of humans too that were involved with that. And then you had the belt stars of Orion, which was mostly the resistance. So these were the beings that wanted to maintain their self sovereignty. So I would say behind all these feuds and conflicts, there's usually some sort of agenda that one race may have that might be in conflict with the agenda of another race. And that's what causes conflict within, I would say, our galaxy and beyond.
So, do we have that kind of conflict going on right now in Earth? Like,
Oh,
are
absolutely.
there some
Absolutely.
dark, or,
Yeah.
so give us a little rundown on that.
Yeah.
Our home
Oh
planet.
my gosh. Oh gosh, that'd take me 5 hours to talk about it, but I'll give you guys the abridged version. So after the fall of the Orion Empire, so Orion had been in war with each other for millennia, and the Galactic Federation got involved with it. So eventually Orion did achieve unity consciousness. And so a lot of these negative factions in Orion were looking for new worlds to conquer. And so they came to our solar system. And initially they resided in Maldek, which used to be this planet between Mars and Jupiter that ended up getting destroyed. So that planet blew up, and now it's the asteroid belt. So that's what the asteroid belt was. But then a lot of these misplaced Orion souls had to incarnate somewhere else. So they chose Earth. And a lot of them were negative. They've never really resolved these dark aspects of themselves. And so when they came to Earth, they started infiltrating the Atlantean civilization and brought their negative agendas with them. And then there was other star races that were also visiting Earth around the same time. So then you had the Anunnaki that was starting to reside in the Middle Eastern area of planet Earth. You might have had some Orion groups that were residing in Southeast Asia. I mean, it was kind of like, I would say, it's a complex story because it's not just one race. It's like the influences of different star races that came here to Earth. So it gets very complex. But to keep the story simple, basically what happened is a lot of our what they call the Illuminati or the Dark Cabal, or the one percenters that have most of the power here on Earth are descendants of these extraterrestrial beings that were here trying to conquer this system. And so there's always been this conflict between those descendants of the negative beings with us light workers that are trying to bring sovereignty and unification and love consciousness to this planet. So this has been it's lasted for hundreds of thousands of years, if not millions of years, on this planet, and it's accumulating to, I would say, a boiling point at this point. Where we're seeing massive change, because for the first time, maybe in a long time on planet Earth, the light is going to overtake the dark. So we do know that's going to happen. Yes, we are.
Right?
We are doing we are doing it. Yeah, we are making it work. Yeah. It's why a lot of us are here, actually. It's why we chose to be here, because we wanted to be a part of that. We wanted to give our own contribution to finally creating love consciousness here on this planet. And Earth was always supposed to be a fifth dimensional planet. It used to be back in the time of Lemuria and Atlantis. And after the fall of Atlantis, Earth plunged into the third dimension, has been there ever since. But it was never meant to be a third dimensional planet.
Yeah, I love that you said that so many of us came for this awakening, because we did. And as you were saying this, I had this image of us sort of, maybe outside the planet, or like 10 or 20 years, when we can have that bigger overview of what really happened during this time and how this was dismantled in a way that most of us thought might be impossible to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, and you still get the naysayers that say, oh, the ascension isn't happening, it's just made up stuff by New Age spiritualists that, they just want to bamboozle the people into thinking that something positive is happening. But and you know, they may say that, but honestly, I do think there's a lot of positive things happening right now. It's just maybe not apparent in, I would say, mainstream news, but there is a lot of positive shifts and changes that are occurring as we speak.
Right, right. And you just have to be aware of it. And I think remembering that we chose to be here during these times.
Oh,
This-
absolutely.
And this is the most important time. I think this is a very important time in human
Yeah,
history. And
yeah.
I'm kind of looking forward to breaking through the veil.
Me
I am
too.
sick of having certain blocks that I see people have and that I have to accessing the whole big picture.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's a big part of why I do what I do. Because even if I share a story, maybe it activates a memory in somebody. You know, it might, I don't know, just spark like something, some ancient remembrance that and so but no, I always felt like things have been unnecessarily difficult here, and they never have to be. They never had to be this difficult. It shouldn't take us 10 steps just to do one little thing. We should be able to set an intention and just manifest it instantly. You know, that's the reality that we're working towards. And so you know, and telepathy, we shouldn't have to, you know, speak in different languages and have a lot of misunderstanding because maybe one thing means another, you know, depending on what your culture is. But when you have a you know, telepathic civilization, it bypasses all those misunderstandings. You also aren't able to lie anymore. You can't lie. You can't make up mistruths because you're going to know instantly what that person's intention is. And we are moving towards that as well, but we still got some work to do before we get to that point. But there's a
That's
lot of
right.
star seeds that are, you know, doing the clearing and the, you know, the inner shadow work. So, you know, they're working on it.
Well, yeah, we are working on it because
Mhm.
despite their intentions, our memories are coming back.
Oh,
And I do think
absolutely.
that's part of the ascension b blueprint,
Oh,
is
absolutely.
that complete awakening. And when you awake, you're awakening thousands of people who are awakening other people, Debbie. So that's quite powerful, as is Portal to Ascension through all of these talks. So
Oh, yeah, no,
it's an
I am
exciting
so
time.
grateful. I'm so grateful for our time right now. It's just so, I don't know. It's just we're living in very exciting times. I mean, it's, you know, just mass. I mean, change that we couldn't even imagine even 50 years ago, you know, is happening right now, you know.
How
So
about 10 or 5 years ago?
yeah,
There
yeah, that too. Yeah.
and that yeah, it's just actually incredible. So I have another question for you.
Okay.
Um, so how does like soul actually travel to from Arcturus to Earth or to the Andromedas? How like what's the mechanism for a human to travel
That's
like
a
that?
really great question. I think it's through you know, it's through the higher realms. You know, I can't really answer that in a kind of a physics fashion because I'm not a physician or a physics major, but I would say it's through these different portals that we were talking about earlier that it creates this shortcut. So maybe this will help illustrate some of this. So my understanding, you know, I get a lot of people that talk about this false reincarnation matrix that was placed on planet Earth, like we got sucked into this. And I say we just generally, not, you know, specifically, but generally speaking, humanity got stuck into this reincarnation matrix where their souls were being constantly reincarnated without them having any free will say to what kind of incarnation they wanted. And so it was created by these dark beings I mentioned earlier that just wanted to feed off of human suffering. You know, they just wanted to, and there was no opportunity for these souls to reincarnate and evolve, you know, in other words. my understanding is that this false reincarnation matrix has been dismantled in our current timeline. So souls that are being passed on now do have the opportunity to get appropriately processed in the Arcturus Stargate. So Arcturus is the second major stargate that actually processes souls. The Hurtaks have talked about this, and JJ Hurtak and his wonderful wife Desiree talk about this quite a bit. And so we're going to start seeing Earth souls have the opportunity to incarnate into other systems. Maybe it'll be like Sirius or Pleiades or Tau Ceti that we mentioned earlier. But so this is going to be the first time that Earth souls are going to be able to evolve past Earth. So we're going to have souls that say, hey, I'm an Earth soul and I'm proud to be an Earth soul. It's not going to be just, oh, I'm a starseed and I'm proud to be here on Earth. It's going to be like, hey, I'm an Earth soul and I'm proud to be in Tau Ceti or in Alpha Centauri or Sirius, So I do think it's through portals. Honestly, I think there's like shortcuts. There's certain time periods, even I would say within even our calendar year, where the portal seems to be a little more fluid for certain souls to come in. So sometimes we see souls that come in during certain times, like Lionsgate, for instance. We seem to have a lot of souls that come in through that time period. And then there's certain times, even I would say, I'm trying to think of another timeline where that happens. I do see a lot of souls that come in November. So it's probably depending on, celestial energies that might be in place. So this is where astrology might come in. But yeah, there's, but it's when these portals are a little more fluid, So, so I do see trends. I was just talking about this with Sirius Joy. I don't know if you've ever been on his podcast, but he's amazing. He's an astrologer based out of California. And I was just on his podcast yesterday, and I was telling him about how I noticed even within astrology, there's certain trends with, certain people being born in certain signs, and they're connected with a certain star lineage. So we see a lot of water signs associated with Sirius because Sirius had watery planets. We might see some air signs like Libra and Aquarius that are aligned with Andromeda, for instance, because they're bringing in energy signatures from that star system. So they're trying to align that energy with the time of year that will support that energy. So that's my, I guess, my theory about it. I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but it's just what I'm trying to figure out myself, because I've done thousands of these readings and I kept seeing trends, like, oh yeah, that person's a Pisces and they're connected to, you're a Pisces.
I'm a Pisces.
Yeah, you're a Pisces.
Where are we connected?
Yeah. So you might be connected with Sirius or with Mintaka or, some watery planet. But honestly, Joan, I think you've been in a lot of places. I think you've been to Arcturus. You're like a galactic traveler. I've seen that. You're like almost more angelic in your realm. I guess that's why you're called Joan of Angels. So when I pick up your energy, I pick up like more galactic angelic is what I get with you, but you've been in a lot of systems. So just like me, I've been in a lot of systems too.
Well, we may have known each other. So, it's interesting. We are the hybrids.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And you said something really interesting too about the false reincarnation matrix. I've been reading lots and lots and lots about that. Yeah. And I first heard about it from a crystal skull keeper friend of Neil and I. And she talked about how her father had passed and he didn't get to connect up with her mother. And somehow she was able to communicate with her dad and found out he was in the wrong place. Found out that they weren't connecting, which is what you're supposed to happen, is your family's right there, and it wasn't happening. And that's when I realized something was happening. But I find it interesting because you can't turn towards the light, which is our instinct.
Mhm.
And so no matter what, when you pass, you need to have this memory of no, you don't turn towards the light, which I think is counterintuitive to us as
Mhm.
humans or as light workers. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
we call in the light. So it's another trap.
yeah, totally. Yeah, no, there was quite a few traps on this planet, but
Being born is a trap.
yeah, being born here can be a trap. Yeah, no, but yeah, I think what and I see this a lot in the Akashic records. Like sometimes I do a lot of clearings for my clients also, and what I notice is there's a lot of discordant spirits out there that are hanging on to my clients, because they're light workers and they're carrying all this light. But these were spirits that have passed on, but they weren't able to necessarily, or maybe they chose not to process, so they're kind of stuck in this nebulous fourth dimensional realm where they're just kind of floating around trying to find their way out. And a lot of times these beings they're kind of lost, so I do believe that they attach to light workers because they're looking for a way home. They're looking for assistance, in other words. But then because they're not necessarily evolved souls, they might be carrying a lot of their own um, dysfunctional energy. And then sometimes a light worker will take that on. So I get a lot of my clients that say things like, I don't know why I keep making the same mistakes over and over again. And I don't even feel like this is something that I would be doing. It's not so much like this is taking over that client soul. It's not like to that point, but it's just that this kind of nebulous influence. So I think you're right, Joan. I think there is a lot of souls out there that have taken a wrong turn and maybe don't know where they're going. And this is why this false reincarnation matrix had to be dismantled. So these souls can finally yes, evolve and move on. Maybe they don't need to be on Earth anymore. Maybe they can have other experiences.
Right.
Yeah, we're getting real deep with this
We're
conversation.
getting really deep. We're
Deep.
going to have to hop off in a minute too. This has really been a great conversation. I
Thank
actually
you.
have
No, I agree. I agree.
more questions, but I'm going to save them for the next time I get to interview you. Okay.
Yeah.
So quickly tell us what you're going to talk about on the cruise and at the New Living Expo.
Okay. Well, let me bring up that. So I already know what I'm going to talk about on the cruise. I'm still working out. Haven't yet figured
You
out
don't
what.
have to give us all the details.
Yeah, I just say for the cruise, the topic is when gods walk the earth, rethinking ancient extraterrestrial contact and Hellenic and Anatolian lore. And this is mainly where I'm going to explore the myths, temples, and mystery traditions of ancient Greece and Turkey were more than just stories. They were actually based on actual history of extraterrestrial beings that were visiting Earth. So a lot of these Greek
Right.
gods were probably extraterrestrials that were visiting Earth, and people, saw their advanced technology and thought they were gods. But what were they doing on Earth? Why? How did they influence these civilizations? As far as New Living Expo, I haven't thought that far ahead. I'm sure I'll come up with something freaking
You will.
amazing. Yeah.
You will be absolutely amazing, Debbie.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So where can people reach you?
They can reach me at my website. I would say that's the best place to reach me. So that's debbiesolaris.com, as you see on the screen. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I haven't yet migrated to TikTok yet. Maybe someday I will, but I'm on those platforms as well. So however you reach me, me or one of my team members will make sure to get back with you.
Well, I think you're a superstar.
Thank
And I'm
you.
going to be reaching out to you to kind of pursue this idea that came through right here
Yeah,
on our
yeah,
show.
no, I think it'll be amazing.
I think so too. I can't,
Yeah.
in fact, I'm blown away by that. But anyway, I really appreciate your wisdom, your clarity, your heart. I feel like this was a really heartwarming and informational interview at the same time.
Thank
So,
you.
guys, for those of you who've been tuning in, if you felt something awakening inside you today, the sense of I remember, and follow that. join us on the cruise, join us at New Living Expo, or find Debbie, go to her website and work with her, because that will change your life completely. I can vouch for that.
Yeah.
So now, if you're also ready to discover your purpose, your gifts, your next steps, I'm Joan of Angels. Visit joanofangels.com for your free soul vision consultation. And then thank you for joining us. May your path be guided with clarity, courage, and the highest cosmic light. I'm Joan of Angels. We'll see you soon, and expect miracles. That's all for now, guys. We'll see you.